Ciao, welcome to Beatspot. I'm Marco, and in this video, I want to talk about a simple but important detail that some people might miss when they are recording an artist over a beat and especially over a type beat stuff that has been made by other producers. Let's dive into it. So let's take this beat I've been working on lately for a recording session. Here we can see it's at 135 BPM, so that's a huge plus. Knowing the BPM of the track, it will make the whole work easier. So in this case, it's all okay. We just have to take the kick drum as a reference, and we can see that it's on the grid. So that's okay, but this is the beat that I purchased from the beat store, from the producer. First, I had from the artist the free version, which was probably ripped from YouTube, and it was this one. And you can see there's like a little latency going on. Usually that little latency is due to or YouTube ripping maybe, or the video editing software that had some latency in the audio, or like the producer that didn't place the audio at the exact start. Or sometimes it can also happen due to limiter. In fact, limiting can introduce some latency and when you export the whole file, you have this little latency going on. In this case, it's quite a severe latency. It's a 42 millisecond, as you can see here. I have the display here, 42 millisecond. It's quite an important latency, and if you just load the whole track and you are going to record like several vocals on it, the problem is that if you're recording your vocals on Cubase, Ableton, whatever DAW, and then you are importing or you are sending all the tracks to another person that's not aware of that latency, might just look at the grid and fix like the kick drum, and you have 40 milliseconds of latency, which on vocals especially, but in general in music, it has like a subtle yet important effect on how you perceive the groove and the bounce, and you might like feel that the vocal isn't like gelling well with the whole beat, even if the artist performed their recordings very well. So how to do this? If you don't know the BPM, you can use the tap function on your DAW, or you can also listen to the beat while using an app. There are several apps that have a BPM tap, and you listen to the beat and just 1, 2, 3, 4 and get the BPM or a rough BPM of the whole thing. Generally, you don't have like a 134 beat, you have a 135. There can be exceptions as well. Another way to put these beats in grid is by taking like the intro off, then you align the kick drum, and you can just find the BPM by matching the grid. So my suggestion here is not to focus much like on the first kick drum and the snare. It might sometimes look right at first, but you have to look further. So if you're like on grid here, we are probably doing right. You can also go further. This is locked to the grid, so it means it's at the right BPM. But let's say we just make this one, okay, 134, because we maybe think that the snare has some pre-shifting going on. If we go like here, we clearly see that at 57, where the kick should hit, the kick drum is way earlier, and that can cause some big problems if you don't know how to deal with BPM on other DAWs. This is perfect, and also having all your project with the BPM sync on the grid allows to apply some automation on the go, even in the recording session. If you want to make like some chops, if you want to rearrange the beat, if you want to lower a section like 4 bars or whatever, if you want to apply like a speaker filter to 4 bars on the vocal, you just don't have to just like check whether the timing is right or not with the grid off. You just follow the grid, and most of the time you're right. So once you've done all this stuff, it's time to take the whole intro back, and down here you can see how it is. Probably we might go like here. This is a very minor detail, and so that's it. So it's very simple thing, but it's crucial because like nobody wants to deal with unsynced stems, whether you are mixing your own stuff or you are sending to someone else. It's just like a thing that doesn't allow to work properly on the track, because everything feels just off, and that's not the way you should record and prepare your stuff. And on vocals especially, fixing their timing is like quite a tricky thing, because you might be a skilled producer, but maybe you don't have the ear to get the perfect timing for the vocal. So that's a thing that you shouldn't even care about. The whole record, the whole vocal takes should already be in sync. So if you ever ignored this thing, now you know that it's an important thing, and it takes like a couple of minutes in general to just fix it, to find the right timing, and it saves a lot of times, because I managed a couple of recording sessions where the rapper or the vocalist just loaded the beat without any stretching, but with the wrong BPM, and then all the editing was like a real mess. Maybe he had to move an ad-lib, like anticipating it or putting it like later, whatever, making some vocal takes, some stutter effects, all those stuff, and it was quite impossible, because you had to go by ear, and I mean, you have to check that it's sounding good, but you have the grid on the DAW and you should use it. So this is it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comment section below, and see you in the next one.